Greetings, and welcome to Wellspring Community Church. I'm Wendy Musgrave, the pastor at Wellspring, and I am delighted to have you with us this morning. I thank God for every day right now, but especially for Sundays. The rest of the week kind of feels like the days blend together. I find myself asking, what day is it today? I'm thankful for Sunday because even though it looks a little different when we meet in Zoom, we still have our routine of gathering together for prayer and conversation and sharing life. If you are new to us, if you just stumbled across this video on Facebook or YouTube, welcome. If you'd like to be a part of our group discussion, I invite you to stop by our website, wellspringdsm.org, and sign up for our newsletter, our email newsletter. This way you'll get the login credentials for our Zoom gatherings each week, and you can join us for discussion and also keep up to date with what's going on at Wellspring. This morning we are continuing on with our Easter series, Heart of the Matter, because Easter isn't just one day. Easter is an 8-week season in which we are intentionally looking for those signs of resurrection. As we enter into worship today, if you have a candle nearby, I invite you to light it now. Let's just take a moment to center ourselves. Let's take a deep breath together. I invite you to place your hand on your heart and breathe. Feel the rhythm of your heart. Holy living God, heartbeat of creation, help us to take this time to center in you. For you made us, you gave us life, and you continue to be with us in every moment, with every breath, and with every step. Let us take another deep breath, just allowing ourselves to release any tension that we may feel in our bodies. I invite you to pick up your heart stone, sometimes called a worry stone. Just hold it in your hands. As your fingers run across its surface, may your touch remind you that God is always with us, within us, between us, and around us. As close and as real as this object is in our hands right now, is how close love is to us always. As you hold your heart stone, imagine letting go of your worries for now into God's heart of love. Now let's set our heart stones next to our candle, allowing them to bathe in the light of Christ. Holy One, we offer into your care all of our worries and anxieties and fears. We turn to you and we know that you are near, as close as our very breath. Your light is our love and life. This week, the challenge for me has been that I think I'm finally settling into the idea that when it comes to distancing measures and online church, we are in this for the long haul. Things are not going to change quickly. When all of this first started, I thought, if we could just get through Easter, things are going to turn around. And then I found myself thinking, well, if we can make it through May, then things might turn around. I was trying to be optimistic. I found myself engaging in imagining what our reunion would be like when once again we can gather together in the flesh. I miss all of you. I miss the energy of being in the room together. I miss hugs and shared laughter and tears. I miss so many things, big and small. This week I attended a clergy meeting over Zoom that was hosted by our region. And that's one of the nice things about this sheltering in place is that I can be with our Metro Chicago friends without the long drive and all of the tolls. This meeting was focused on considerations for reopening. Not that we should be gathering together in person anytime soon, but that when that time comes, there are a lot of measures that we will need to have in place and a lot of questions that we will need to have answered. This meeting left my head spinning. By the end of the meeting, my imagination of what it might look like when we gather was quite different. I couldn't see anybody's smile because we were all wearing masks. We couldn't raise our voices in song because singing is dangerous right now. We'd have to spread out in different rooms to allow for adequate distancing, and they recommended ushering people in the order they arrived, seating people from the front to the back so that no one would walk through anyone else's breathing pattern. No hugs, no coffee, no clusters of conversation. This week, as I was settling into the fact that this isn't going to change anytime soon, and I was grieving the loss of the reunification I had once optimistically been imagining, I read the weekly newsletter of Nadia Bolz-Weber, and her newsletter this week just really struck a chord. She shared the story of two men. One who spent 8 years as a prisoner of war in a North Vietnamese prison camp, and the other who spent 18 years on death row for a crime that he didn't commit. Now, even just hearing the little short intro to their stories puts my story a little bit into perspective. The first man is James Stockdale, an admiral in the U.S. Navy who survived 8 years as a prisoner of war in North Vietnamese prison camp. When he was asked which of his fellow prisoners had the most struggle to make it out alive, he answered, the optimists. Oh, they were the ones who said, we're going to be out by Christmas. And Christmas would come and Christmas would go. Then they'd say, we're going to be out by Easter. And Easter would come, and Easter would go. And then Thanksgiving, and then it was Christmas again, and they died of a broken heart. Inspired by Stockdale's story, author Jim Collins put forward a theory that he called the Stockdale paradox, which I think Stockdale, in his own words, kind of sums up pretty well. You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. That is powerful wisdom. And it reminded me of the rich discussion that we had a couple of weeks ago about hope. The second man is Damien Eccles. When he was only 18 years old, he was wrongfully convicted of murder and he was sentenced to death. And he then spent 18 years on death row before he was exonerated. Recently, Damien was interviewed by Jason Flom in his podcast, Wrongfully Convicted. And in this episode, the two of them were specifically addressing the context of COVID-19. When asked how he kept himself together all of those 18 years, Damien said, "The number one thing that helped me stay sane was figuring out that I could not live for the future. What it came down to for me in prison was having to create a life for myself, not making myself insane, constantly wondering, when is this going to be over? Whether it's news about the pandemic or the possible upcoming execution date, you can't sit around dwelling on stuff or you're going to stew in fear and misery." Wow. Into the context of my gloom this week, I found in these stories of these two men what I have been wrestling with, trying to hold in tension. It isn't helpful for me to spend all of my energy living only for future events when I don't have any idea how they will unfold. And it is also not helpful to spend all of my energy stewing around in fear and misery. So it is into this context that I am reading our gospel passage today. This week's passage from the Gospel of John comes from what scholars call the farewell address of Jesus. It is when Jesus is preparing his disciples for his departure. He's starting to help them see that they won't always be together in the way that they have been up to this point. Hear these words from the Gospel of John. "If you love me, you will keep my commandments. I will ask the one who sent me to give you another companion, another helper, to be with you always, the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot accept, since the world neither sees nor recognizes. But you can recognize the Spirit, because the Spirit remains with you and will be within you. I won't leave you orphaned. I will come back to you. A little while now, and the world will see no more. But you'll see me, because I live, and you will live as well. On that day, you'll know that I am in God, and you are in me, and I am in you." Here we are again, reading words that I have read so many times before, but they're touching my heart in much different ways in our current context. The farewell discourse is a message of reassurance and comfort for Jesus' closest friends. Jesus is preparing the disciples for the time when they will not be able to gather together in the same way. He won't be there with them in the flesh. Now, they don't understand, and they don't like the sound of that, and I'm sure that they were frightened. What on earth would they do next without his leadership? How would they know the way? Throughout the farewell discourse, Jesus is comforting his friends, assuring them that they will not be left alone. They will have all that they need to continue on in the mission and the ministry, to continue in the way of healing and compassion that Jesus had modeled for them. They won't have to do it alone. They will have the Spirit by their side, and they will recognize that they are in the Spirit of Christ by keeping the commandment, which Jesus had just told them was to love each other. Just as I have loved you, so you also must love each other. As I've been worrying and wondering about how to keep us safe and how to keep us connected, these words spoke to me in ways that they never had before. How do we continue to be the church when many of the ways that we have done so in the past are not available to us right now? As I read the words of Jesus this week, it felt as if he could be speaking those words right to us right now. We can't be together in the same way for a while. But through the Spirit of love, we are always present with each other. What will keep us connected? Here's the spoiler alert. It isn't Zoom. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm very thankful for the technology that allows us to continue to engage in rich discussions and conversations, even when we can't be in the same room. But if the location is, as Jesus says, then right now, no matter where we are located physically, through love, we are together in God. Within the holy, we are all in the same place. The truth, the heart of the matter, is that we are held together in love. You are in me, and I am in you. Throughout this discourse in John, the theme of abiding is woven throughout. Now, abide can mean following a decision or a rule. I will abide by the social distancing recommendations to protect myself and others. But abide also means a feeling or a memory that will continue without fading or being lost. Abide is a really good word right now, a word that I'm holding on to. Abide, remain, stay, continue, dwell, endure, live. We remain and we abide in each other through prayer and conversation, intention, through love. In some ways, this physical distancing is helping us to understand this in ways that we may never before have considered. I am so thankful for the wisdom and the thoughtfulness of our Executive Council leadership. During our meeting this week, when we gathered together and we realized that we will be meeting at a distance for quite some time. We talked about how now is not the time to set any dates for when things will change, but that we committed to being thoughtful and to consulting reliable sources so that we can love each other by keeping each other safe. The good thing is, we cannot be together in the same way that we were, but we still abide in each other through the Spirit of love. We have what we need to continue to be the church in creative ways, even during this time of distancing. At a time when we can't be together in the same way, Jesus is inviting us to a deeper understanding of what truly connects us. As we set our intention on connection, our connections grow. So I wonder, how are you abiding during these times when things seem to be rapidly changing and yet at the same time seem to not have changed at all? Are you finding ways to truly live in the here and now with all of its gifts and challenges? I've been thinking a lot about John Stockdale's quote this week. You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality. whatever they might be. The brutal facts of our reality are that we are in the middle of a global pandemic. People are dying. People are out of work. People are isolated. People are struggling in so many ways. There is loss of life, and there is loss of income. There is loss of dreams as the plans that we have made go up in smoke. These are the facts. And yet I believe that through faith we will prevail. There's no use fretting about the future or placing all of our eggs in a basket of a future that may not materialize in the ways that we have imagined. All we really have is today, and today is enough. now set our intentions together in prayer. Holy and loving God, today, in the spirit of love, we lift up all those who have lost loved ones, all those who are grieving at this time. We lift up those who are sick and recovering, and all those who are caring for their loved ones who are sick at home. We lift up all of the medical staff who are risking their health to care for the critically ill. We lift up all of the other essential workers whose health and lives are on the line to keep us having food on the shelves. We lift up all those who are separated from loved ones, those who are feeling alone and isolated. We lift all those who are helping and who are also so very tired. We lift those who are struggling to find friends and food and comfort. We lift before you all who are afraid. We lift up all who lead and are in need of wisdom during this time, and all who wait and wonder how long. And now we take another breath of spirit as our amen. As we send out our prayers, the Spirit, the breath of God, is blowing from within us outward as a spirit of compassion and presence. Praise and thanks be to the God of love who is in us and in whom we live and move and have our being. Will you pray this prayer with me now? We know that Jesus is present among us, even in this very home. We will not let fear be louder than love, but with glad hearts and rejoicing souls, we will sing God's praise, for we are Easter people. As we close this time together this morning, I invite you to remember that God is always with you. No matter what you face, no matter what trials or hardships come your way, God is right beside you, offering you love straight from the heart, guiding and directing your path. So acknowledge your fear and your worry as it arises, and know that it is as true and as holy as any feeling, including joy and hope and love. And I pray that you will experience joy and hope and love this week in abundance. Take heart. This is the heart of the matter. Go in peace. Amen.